Welcome students of class 8 to a new video in grammar. This time we're looking at a new tense, which is the future proche. All this while you have been studying verbs under the present tense, okay? Présent l'indicatif, the simple present tense, and the present continuous tense. Today we're starting off with a new tense, which is very simple, le futur proche. Now, before we get into the tense, you need to understand the concept of time in the future. Okay, you have two times or two tenses when you're talking about future time. You have the proche and you have the sampler. Okay, the future proche and the future sampler. This is only when we're talking about future time. Okay, so now what is the difference between the two? In future proche, you're talking about the near future, something that is going to happen. Okay, in English, the key word for future proche is going to. Anything that is going to happen very soon in the immediate near future. Okay, so it is the near future tense, future proche. And then you have the future sampler, which is the simple future tense, something that is going to happen eventually, not so soon, but it will happen sometime in the future, okay, in the long run. So the key word for your simple future is will. Okay, so I am going to write a letter. It is going to happen right now, in a few seconds or in a few minutes. I am going to write a letter. They are going to cook. Okay, this going to is the indication of future proche in English. Okay, I will write a letter. Isn't I'm not going to write it immediately, but I will write it after some time, maybe next week. Okay, it will happen in the future. They will cook. They're not going to cook right away, but they will cook eventually. It is going to happen, but not right now. Okay, so that is the difference between the two. The future proche is going to happen much closer to the present compared to the simple future. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. Now, we're not looking at the simple future tense this year. Okay, that is for the 9th standard students. We're only looking at the future proche for the 8th standard students. So, how do you construct the future proche? Now, there is just one rule and it applies to all the verbs. Okay, what you have learned as regular and irregular in the present tense does not apply here. Okay, that business of regular and irregular is only for the present tense, because here all verbs are regular, all verbs follow the rule. That's why it's a simple tense. There are no irregulars in the future proche. So how do you construct the future proche? You have the subject, okay, which is your normal 6 subjects. You have je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle, the plural. Then you have to conjugate aller in the present tense according to the subject. And after you conjugate aller in the present tense, you just have to insert the full verb, whichever verb you want to talk about. Okay, so that is why there are no irregulars in the future proche, because no matter which verb you're talking about, okay, the verb will always remain full. You're only conjugating aller. Whichever verb it is, you have to conjugate aller before the verb in order to get the future proche. So let's look at one example of manger. Manger is to eat. Okay, so see how manger has been done in the future proche. You have the subjects here, then you have to put aller in the present tense according to the subject. This is important. So you get je vais, tu vas, il va, nous allons, vous allez, ils vont. Then after you conjugate aller in the present, you have to put the full verb as it is for all the subjects. Okay, the full verb, whichever verb you're talking about, doesn't change from its, doesn't deviate from its infinitive. Okay, from its full verb. So you'll have manger for all. Okay, whichever verb you're talking about has to come here. And then you add it all up, you'll get je vais manger, tu vas manger, il va manger, nous allons manger, vous allez manger, ils vont manger. So I'm going to eat, you're going to eat, he is going to eat, she is going to eat, and so on. Okay, so this is how you form the future proche. You have to put aller into the present according to the subject, and then you have the full verb. Okay, now let's look at some sentences on how you conjugate how you use the future proche in different sentences. Okay, je vais écrire une lettre. I am going to write a letter. Okay, so can you see aller has been put here for je as vais, and then you have the full verb écrire. Je vais écrire une lettre. I'm going to write a letter. Then, tu vas aider ta grand-mère. You are going to help your grandmother. Aller has been put into the present tense for tu as va, and then you have aider is the full verb. So tu vas aider ta grand-mère. You're going to help your grandmother. Sam va boire du jus. Now you know boire is an irregular in the present tense, but remember, future proche there are no irregulars because all the verbs go with aller. So aller has been put into the present here for il because Sam is third person. So Sam va and then you have boire is the full verb. Sam va boire du jus. Sam is going to drink some juice. Nous allons jouer au foot. We are going to play football. So aller has been put into the present tense for nous here. So nous allons and then jouer is the full verb. Nothing happens to the full verb. Keep it as it is. Nous allons jouer au foot. We are going to play football. Vous allez prendre des photos. You are going to take some photos. Aller has been put in the present for vous here as aller and then you have the full verb prendre. You are going to take some photos. Mama et papa vont faire la cuisine. Vont is aller in the present tense for il, third person plural, and faire is the full verb to make or to do. Okay, to do the cooking or to cook. Faire la cuisine. So mama et papa vont faire la cuisine. Mama and papa are going to do the cooking or are going to cook. Okay, so this wraps up our explanation video on the future proche. It's very simple. You just have to conjugate aller according to the subject and then you have to insert the full verb in its infinitive as it is. The full verb doesn't change. See you soon with new videos. Thank you.